This Loomian basically just disappeared from the market and no one gives a shit. Today we will be talking about the downfall of the Geklaus. For those of you who do not know, the Gekla event was the third ever event in Loomian Legacy history. It was the Loomian Legacy 1 year anniversary event, and you could catch 6 type of Geklaus, and it was back in July 2020. In this video, we are going to be mostly talking about this cute Loomian, Gleaming Ruby Gekla. Most of you wouldn't even have heard about it. It's a 1 in 80k Loomian. Fun facts about them, lesser than 30 of them were ever caught. And it was the third most expensive Loomian at the time. And also, Gleam Ruby and Gleam Sapphire Geklaus are the only two Loomians in game which have a very weird mechanic. Gleam Ruby Gekla looks pinkish in the day in adventure mode, but is blood red in the night. I do not know why this happens, maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not, but I thought it was cool. And also, it looks like Gleam Sapphire Gekla in Igneous Hollow. I just don't know why. Brief history recap. When it was first released into the game, Gleam Ruby Gekla was 8GR, which was pretty damn expensive for the time, and it was the third most expensive Loomian in the game. It stayed at 8GR during the event, but right after the event, it began to fall. Gleam Ruby Gekla went from 8GR to 1.5GR bad demand, which is absolutely nuts. Gleam Emerald Gekla went from 4GR good demand to 0.5GR bad demand, and basically every single Gekla just fell. They stayed at this garbage value for quite a few months, but then one day Gleam Sapphire started rising and it hit 50GR, and next Gleam Ruby rose. It was the fastest rise of any Loomian I have ever seen. In one day, it rose from 1.5GR to 3GR. The next day, it rose from 3GR to 5GR. And then 5GR to 8GR, 8GR to 15GR, 15GR to 18GR, and so on. And within just 1.5-2 weeks, it had reached 30GR. It had the fastest rising graph of any Loomian at the time. And so many people were regretting not getting one because they could have got one for 4GR just a week ago. And by the way, I am not trying to rise the Loomian, I thought this would be a really interesting video to make. Gleam Ruby had been my dream Loomian forever. I have owned over 5 G Ruby Geklas in my time, different ones, and I still own one till today, my NFT Gleam Ruby Gekla. And I traded 17GR for it when it was 8GR. That is how much I wanted it. This was the trade, by the way, and it's an L even in today's values. After it hit 30GR, its rise slowed down, but it rose a tiny bit after that. It gradually rose and reached 40GR, and then it gradually rose to reach 50GR. Then something sad happened. Well, something good happened. The October Halloween event came, and Gleaming Halloween Ikazuns came, and people were mad for those and they rose real quick. And even the interest in Gleaming Halloween Duskets was increased, and those started rising like crazy, and the Geklaus were just forgotten. So for the past 5 months, Gleam Ruby Gekla has not even risen by a single GR, and its demand decreased massive. It used to be fantastic demand, which kept getting overpaced, like here's a picture. And well, now it's just bad demand. Only 4 Gleam Ruby Geklas have been traded in the past 5 months. And they were basically rare back then, and now they're extinct. There are only 3 people in the game who own 2 Gleam Ruby Geklas, and the rest of them are just scattered all around the game with very few owners known. A person named Billy Windex used to have 5 Gleam Ruby Geklas, but he traded 2 of them, and I'm pretty sure the 3 of them were banned. This situation is really weird because Gleam Sapphire Gekla is still absolutely amazing. It's getting 500 GR offers, I asked the owner. And rich guys really want Gleam Sapphire Geklas. Gleam Sapphire Geklows were twice as rare as Gleam Ruby Geklows. And it's quite shocking to see Gleam Ruby Geklows are going for lesser than 1/10 of what Gleam Sapphire Geklows are going for. Plus, Gleam Ruby Geklow has bad demand. Recently, a Gleam Ruby Geklow went for these Loomians, which is 55 GR, which is 10 GR more than what it is worth. But this dude overpaid for them because he just wanted to finish his second line of Geklow collections. And there was another tender clever LR Gleam Ruby Geklow which was tossed around for a while. It was traded between like 8 to 9 owners in the span of a few weeks, and it finally ended with a dude who was a Gleam Ruby simp, and he has 2 Gleam Ruby Geklows now. So basically, there are 0 Gleam Ruby Geklows available in the market at the moment. How do Loomians rise? People look at trade ads, they look at the Loomian and they offer overpays. But how will a Loomian rise if none of them exist in the market? This is the sad truth, and this is why Gleam Ruby Geklow will be stuck at bad demand for a while unless few of them are available in the market and people start overpaying for them, which is not likely to happen because every Gleam Ruby Geklow owner has an NFT Gleam Ruby Geklow. So that is the sad truth about how Gleam Ruby Geklow basically fell from being the fastest and best rising Gleam event in the entire game. Do I think they will rise in the future? Probably yes. Do I think you should get one at the moment? No, you should not. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.